Okay, this week, one of the biggest announcements in real estate history as NAR has come out and announced a settlement going forward with the lawsuit. So, this is going to definitely be some changes to the industry. There's no question about it. However, before we dive into it, I want to talk about really what we know, because right now there is a ton of information coming out, and not all of it is accurate. Whether it's stuff that we're starting to see on the internet, of course, there's a ridiculous news article going around out there just the same. Ultimately, we want to, as agents, have a good idea of exactly what's changing in the industry and what do we really know about the settlement. So there's a couple of key things that have been announced and confirmed through NAR, and I think it's important that we really have some knowledge and understanding of that. And a couple of other things, right? What can we do proactively to make sure that our business is in good shape and that we are ready for some of these changes that are coming through as agents? So, first thing I want to talk about is what do we know, right? The settlement's not completely out. We actually haven't had a chance to read and review it. It has just been agreed upon between NAR and between the attorneys on the other side of the agreement. So, with that being the case, let's look at a couple of key pieces that have been agreed to between the two parties. Number one, compensation will no longer be on the MLS. And this is one that seems to be getting really confused out there as far as a lot of reports that are going on in this. Listen, this means that compensation won't be displayed on the MLS. It in no place says that there won't be compensation for the buyer's agents. So I think that is one of the big things that has to be looked at first. That's a big misunderstanding that's getting put out there over and over again. In the end, what does this really mean for us? It means that we'll have to look in other places or be in communication with either the listing broker or the listing agent to understand what, if any, compensation is being offered in that case. We won't be able to just simply look on the MLS and see it directly. I've heard a lot of different solutions as this has been talked about between different brokers' websites and their offer of compensation there, even showing time as we are, setting showings or whatever alternative you might have in your marketplace. That might be a place that you're seeing compensation at least disclosed at that point. Obviously, we've always had the option to negotiate compensation with our buyers, just the same as we go through that process. But the first point that we really know, compensation will not be displayed on the MLS. The second piece that we know has come through with the agreement, there will have to be written agreements at this stage between buyers agents and buyers if they are outperforming services for them. So obviously this is one that we want to learn more and more about and what the details are. At what level are we considered to be performing services for a buyer? A lot of us do get our buyer's agency agreement signed. However, obviously the concern that many of us have as agents is, are we going to be asking the buyer to commit financially to us before they've had a chance to see how we work, to make sure that they enjoy the experience and that our personalities are in the right spot, and ultimately that this is a buyer that has realistic expectations on our side just the same too. So obviously, that's a piece that we want to learn more about, but most of us, at least out there today, are probably already using buyer agency agreements. At what point is it required? That's something that seems like we're going to get more details as things come out. And obviously, the third piece that we should be looking at as agents, what has changed? We've agreed to pay $418 million over a 4-year period as part of the settlement. So the monetary piece of it for these attorneys and these plaintiffs is definitely something that is going to have to be dealt with within the industry just the same. So that's what we know for sure. What else is going to come out? We don't know. As the agreement comes out, in my understanding, it's 108 or 118 page agreement. There could definitely be more details in it. We can learn more as it becomes public. Also, it does still have to go through the process and be approved by the judge. So there might be certain details that change. It seems like that these details that we just went over, however, are fairly solid in the agreement. Now, the next question comes is, hey, what as an agent can I really do about this? And to me, this is obviously the most important question because for us, this is the piece that we actually have some control over. So, a few things right out of the gate. Now, and listen, I'm sure we're going to open more up and we're going to look at more and how we can serve our clients better because in the end, that is going to be the key for us making sure that we thrive in this new environment. When we provide the best service for our clients, we will automatically rise to the top and they are absolutely going to want to use that service. So, the first point I have for agents out there is number one, you've got to be able to know and articulate your unique value proposition. We've heard about this a lot. If you've taken some of our classes, obviously, this is one giant piece of it. That being said, the biggest thing that has brought us to this point, in my opinion, is our failure to articulate the services and the value that we bring to the public. And I think the more that we can truly nail down what it is that we do, but it's not enough to just do it. We really have to get better at explaining it as an industry. We have to be able to talk about what really goes into the process. What are the services we provide? What is the knowledge? And obviously, there's a lot of different things when we start to talk about knowledge. As agents, what parts of our knowledge can be valuable? Number one, obviously, knowledge of the process, right? That's a huge one. And so our ability to articulate our knowledge of the process and how it can be a benefit to our buyer is definitely a huge important piece of it. The second piece of it ultimately though is our knowledge of the market, right? What is good pricing? What is not good pricing? What can and can't we do in order to make sure that the buyer is getting the best they can? Or in some cases that the buyer is able to win when they're in competition against other buyers. Another really important piece. And the third piece where our knowledge really comes in is ultimately knowledge of the communities that we serve and our ability to share that knowledge with the features and the benefits. What can we get with services and school systems and a lot of the different things available in our communities? The better we get at our ability to articulate those things to our buyers, the less we're going to have to defend our compensation. And we know this, right? If you've been in the real estate world, you know by far that the buyer's agents typically put in double the amount of hours on average than listing agents. And yet it is, of course, our value that seems to be under attack at the moment, which is why we need to be better at articulating it to the public. Definitely important piece. For agents, the second thing we can do right away, and that we're going to have to do ultimately, is we are going to have to qualify our leads more. What do I mean by that? The more we understand their motivation, their ability, and their timeline, the better we can service them. And ultimately, the less time that we're going to have to waste. Because if we do see compression on the commissions, there's no doubt that we won't have the time to put into unmotivated buyers more than ever. So ultimately, as agents, the second thing that we can really do to make sure that we're prepared for the changes is be better at qualifying our buyers, having a firm understanding of their motivation. Why is it important for them to move? Understanding their ability, whether it is that they're tied into a lease and helping them transition through that, as well as what loan programs are available, as well as when we might be able to help them negotiate concessions from a seller. And last but not least, to really understand their timeline and when they want to be into their new home, and ultimately why that is important for them. Last but not least on my list of things that we can take action on as agents right away. As agents, as team leaders, we are going to have to be more aware of our cost of lead than we ever have in the past. One of the things that I'm seeing over and over and over in some of these articles and some of the commentary is that agents make this much money as if every single penny of the commission is just a profit and pure profit for the agent. Now, listen, in some smaller businesses, I have no doubt that is the case, but for a lot of us, there is a cost that goes into generating the business. Obviously, on the listing side, it's the exact same thing. So, one of the things that we are going to have to adjust to as agents is we're going to have to be more aware than ever of what our cost of lead is. And ultimately, for some people out there, they have been buying leads at an extremely expensive rate, whether it's dollars out of pocket with some of our internet lead companies out there, or maybe even it's a giant percentage of the commission for some of these referral-based lead companies. But at this stage, there's no question that buyers agents are going to have to be more aware than ever at what our cost of sale is and how much money that we're spending on a regular basis in order to generate those leads. So, a few things right there about the settlement. Ultimately, I do believe that this is not the end of the world as we're seeing out there from so many agents. But what it is it's a real opportunity for us as agents to lean into our skills and to grow in our ability to communicate our value to the public. There has always been the option to not use an agent. There's always been the option to go and work for sale by owner. There's always been the option to negotiate commissions within the public. Ultimately, they have found value, and that is why they have paid for our services. So, if you're an agent out there, make sure that you're looking at these three things to really shore up your buyer business as we're going forward. That being said, as new information comes out, have no doubt we are going to be creating more content to help you go ahead and meet the challenges in the market and more tools to help you serve your buyers in the very best way. Until next time, please like and subscribe for more information. And I can't wait to bring you more updates as things come through. And I can't wait to look for and find more ways for us to serve our clients and share them with you guys.